and begin the meeting. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. The Board of Education is meeting electronically due to the gathering size restrictions as delineated in MCL 333.2253. The public may participate in the meeting by joining the Zoom link listed above. Board members may be contacted through the emails listed below. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. Upon prior request to the superintendent, the district shall make reasonable accommodation for a person with disabilities to be able to participate in the meeting. Requests for specialists be sent to liz.goodall@bentonharborareaschools.org. I call this meeting to order at 5:31 p.m. We will now proceed to pledge allegiance. I'll ask that everyone unmute and recite it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States
of the United States. We will now proceed. I ask that everyone unmute and public for which it stands.
One nation,
one nation
under
God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll?
President Robinson.
Present.
Vice President Bradley.
Present.
Secretary Triplett, present. Treasurer Creighton.
Present.
Trustee Bowens.
Present.
Trustee Buchanan. Trustee Rocket Martin.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Triplett. Now we have approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Vice President Bradley and supported by Trustee Rocket Martin. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the agenda? Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll?
President Robinson.
Yes.
Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett. Yes. Treasurer Creighton. Trustee Bowens.
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan. Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, next we have public comment. And I am going to get our statement together. Is there anyone that is on the line for public comment on agenda items only? Again, I'll ask, is there anyone on the line that is for public comment only on agenda items? Okay, so I'll proceed with reading the statement just to ensure that there is clarity and understanding on our public comment options for this evening. And then we'll just proceed with the agenda if there's no one that would like to make comment. And my apologies, my computer is running a little bit slow. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there are 3 areas for comment on the agenda, of which you may decide when to speak. Public comment on agenda items only, which is where we are now. Public comment on the extended learning plan, and open public comment. Per policy 0167.3, which governs board participation at board meetings, we request that you preface your comments by an announcement of your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once during this meeting. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. I, as president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. If you have specific questions for the board or the executive team that require follow-up, please email those directly to liz.goodwin@bentonharborareaschools.org. So I'll just ask one more time if there's anyone on the line for public comment on agenda items only. Okay, hearing none, we are going to move on to approval of the minutes. The first set of minutes that we have for approval are the 2/27/21 closed session board meeting minutes. And then we have a second set of the previously approved minutes. And so just to clarify, we approved the minutes for 2/2, 2/9, 2/9 closed session, and 2/27 special session board retreat last week. But for consistency purposes, because this is our standard board meeting and last week was technically the work session, I wanted to ensure that we actually reconfirmed the approval of those minutes. Moving forward, we will be reviewing the minutes during the work session and then approving them formally because this is the official meeting. So we'll start with the closed session board meeting from 2/27/21. Can I have a motion to approve the closed session board meeting minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes for the 2/27 closed session.
Okay, is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the closed session board meeting minutes? And they are a closed session, so of course there's only so much that can be said, but does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns?
Yes, President.
And I did resend those. Go ahead, Trustee
No, I'm sorry.
Bowens.
I was rude. I didn't want to be abrupt and cancel you off. Finish and I'll go after it.
I did resend those for review because it's been a couple weeks since we've had that meeting. So I resent those out via email as well. Go ahead, Trustee Bowens, you have the floor.
That closed session does not list the full statements that I stated in there. And I'm not sure about other statements that other board members said. So I don't know if we should table this until it's fully accurate for our records.
Okay. Are there any other concerns regarding, and I've received your comment, Trustee Bowens. Are there any other concerns regarding the closed session meeting minutes? I did receive clarifications from other individuals that reviewed the minutes. And so if I had known that you had additional clarifications that you wanted to make, I would have ensured that those were noted in the minutes, Trustee Bowens. But with you indicating that they're not accurate, he would like to make a motion to table the approval of those closed session minutes. Correct, Trustee Bowens?
That is correct.
Okay. Is there any further conversation regarding that motion? Is there anyone who supports the motion made?
So was there a motion made?
So we were initially making a motion to approve the 2/27/21 minutes. Trustee Bowens is asking if we can table that. So I'm asking, is there any additional conversation on that?
Okay.
Board President, may I ask another question?
Yes, sir.
So if our meetings are recorded and our records say one thing, but the recording says another, shouldn't this be a requirement? Because it's then showing that we're saying one thing on video, but our documentation is saying another. And therefore, maybe I'm wrong. We're voting on two different things as far as one video is saying something, but the record is saying something different.
So just for clarification purposes, Trustee Bowens, closed sessions are not recorded.
Okay. Okay.
So when it comes to the standard meeting minutes that we have, Liz does go back and she listens to the recordings to ensure the accuracy of the minutes that she's taken before those are sent to us. Closed sessions, there's no recording for confidentiality reasons. So the minutes are taken in the session. And so if there's additional clarifications that you feel are needed regarding your particular statements made, I understand that. I haven't had anyone else indicate that their statements are not accurate. There was clarification received from Secretary Triplett, which the minutes were updated to reflect those clarifications made. But
Okay.
there was no one else additionally that indicated there was additional clarifications that were needed.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And that's why I'm making that motion to table it until we can come back. And I apologize.
No apologies. As stated, if I had known that you had additional clarifications that were needed, I would have been more than willing to ensure that we had that information clarified in the minutes so that they were prepared for approval at this time, because I know we have particular time limits for getting minutes approved. So is there anyone else that has any concerns regarding what Trustee Bowens is suggesting?
Was the motion on the floor?
What's your statement, Treasurer Creighton?
So I'm asking, is there a motion on the floor?
The current motion that was on the floor was for the approval of the minutes. There was a second. We can choose to go through and all vote to not approve the minutes as they are because one of our board members has indicated that they're not accurate. He's requesting that we table the vote of the approval of the minutes. We can choose to vote no and come back to approval at a later date. So prior to Treasurer Bowens making his motion, the motion was to approve the minutes. So we can proceed, and if we can choose to vote on the minutes if they're not accurate according to what everyone is saying, we can choose to not approve them currently and we can bring them back to April's meeting. But I just wanted to give everyone additional opportunity to speak if anyone else had anything to add. Okay, so Secretary Triplett, can you call the roll? We're going to call the roll on the approval of the 227 closed session minutes. Just to clarify, if the approval of the minutes are not passed, then we will work on getting those updated and we will bring them back to our next meeting with the provided updates needed.
President Robinson,
No.
Vice President Bradley,
No.
Secretary Triplett, no. Treasurer Creighton,
No.
Trustee Bowens,
No.
Trustee Buchanan, Trustee Rocket Martin.
No.
Okay, so let's clarify. We're gonna work on, Trustee Bowens was the only individual that indicated that there is information that he feels is missing regarding statements that he made within that 221 session. So Trustee Bowens, it's imperative that we connect to get those statements clarified so that I can ensure that the minutes are accurate for the next meeting so we can get those approved.
Thank you.
Next we have, you're welcome, sir. Next, we have confirmation of the previously approved minutes. As indicated, we technically approved these last week. There have been no changes made to the minutes as they stand. But because this is our official board meeting, I wanted to ensure that we were on record, essentially reconfirming the approval of these minutes so that we can be consistent moving forward. So currently, I'm asking for a motion to approve the 221 work session board meeting minutes, 2/9/21 regular work session board meeting, 2/9/21 closed session board meeting, and the 2/27/21 special session board retreat meeting. Is there a motion? Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Secretary Triplett. Is there support?
Support.
Okay, so the motion has been moved by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Bradley. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan, Trustee Rodcat.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, awesome. And so just for clarification, for our work sessions and our board meetings, what we'll be doing in the work session is having any needed conversation regarding the minutes. And then in our following meeting on the 2nd of the month, which is the official board meeting, we'll be confirming the approval of the minutes in that meeting moving forward. Next on the agenda, we have board business. We are starting with our committee reports, and I am going to yield the floor to Treasurer Creighton so that she can provide the report for the Finance Committee.
Good evening, everyone. So in our finance committee meeting, we had a really good meeting. It was a lot of information from our finance, the chief of finance.
I can't hear her.
Excuse me. He went, oh, you can't?
No.
Hello?
Everybody needs
Hello?
to mute.
Can you hear me? Is it an echo?
I
or
can
you
hear
can't
you.
me?
I can hear you. I think your volume is just a little lower than normal, but we're able to hear you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So our finance committee, we met on February 24th. And we talked about, well, our finance director, he presented our monthly budget and also talked about some of our grants that we have in our audit report. And he gave us a lot of information about potential avenues that we can take to for our deficit elimination. And one thing that we did talk about, and I'm looking forward to bringing before the board as we get more information. We do have a lot of grants coming in. We're looking for a grant accountant, and so with that, I think it'll help kind of figure out, what the monies are being used for, so that we can, discuss them and talk about them as we're being transparent. Also, this was not discussed in our committee meeting, and I'm sure our superintendent will talk about this. Yesterday, I did see that we were awarded another grant, and so I'm very excited about that and hearing about plans for that implementation in the near future. And that's the end of my committee report.
Awesome, thank you. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the Finance Committee report? Okay, thank you, Treasurer Creighton. Next, we're going to move on to the Facilities Committee report. Vice President Bradley.
All right. Sorry about that background noise. I had a lot of people got dirt bikes in the neighborhood. But I wanted to our facilities meeting took place last month, and we had a brief meeting because we had a call with the Lieutenant Governor. He was doing a presentation for the budget to the communities, but we did get had a lot of productive discussion. We talked about the urgent need for a high school boiler replacement. That was the main thing, and that took the most time of our facilities committee, was that need. And so I know we were waiting on some reports to come in, and our boiler system at the high school is almost close to 70 years old. And so that's been an urgent need, and we're discussing the cost of what it would be to do that total system replacement and some of the different options and systems that we could do. We also discussed maintenance vehicle replacement because our maintenance team is down, I think, to a few vehicles, and it's kind of stretching our maintenance team thin when they have to do work around the district. And I have nothing else to report for that.
Thank you, Vice President Bradley. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the Operations and Facilities Committee report? All right, awesome. Next, we will move on to the Curriculum and SPED Committee. Secretary Triplett.
Yes, at our committee meeting, we had an opportunity to meet our secondary administrative staff from middle school. Mr. Roseberg presented, the principal at Ben Harbor High School, and our Cape Academy presented as well. And so I think that it was very, very productive, was very informative. I was happy to see some of the things that are happening in our secondary division, in particular the Cape program, which many may have known as the Dream Academy. And I'm excited to learn more about what this program is. I need to get first and type of thing doing over there. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to learn more about that particular program. The support for each principal did a great job. And all of our schools have presented what they're doing in their individual buildings. So as we move forward, I'm sure there will be more things in our curriculum and special education committee. But overall, we had a meeting, and I was excited all of the principals.
Okay, thank you. I think you were done, correct, Secretary Triplett?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for the Curriculum and SPED Committee report? Okay, next up we have Treasurer Creighton again with the Human Resources Committee report.
Thank you. The Human Resource Committee met on February 24th, and we talked about some of the things that we talked about. A legal letter was read from Clark Hill that gave us some guidance on personnel matters. We also talked about the evaluation processes. We're in evaluation season, or coming into evaluation season, for our administrators and also our teachers. And our human resource chief feels that we're right on target with those evaluations. Also, she provided information about the Teacher Tenure Act, and we received clarification on the difference between the conflict of interest and how to relate to employee relationships. And so, we were just talking about policy as it pertains to HR. And our HR committee is looking forward to doing more work in the area of conflict of interest, just in a way so that we can make sure that our employees are protected, but also the district is protected. And so we're going to unpack that more in the future to just kind of see what that looks like, and how we can make sure that we are enforcing our policy, our board Neola policies. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Treasurer Creighton. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Dr. Townsend, were you getting ready to speak?
Yes, on the next item of the board calendar, but I'll wait till you get there.
Okay. Any questions, comments, or concerns for Ms. Creighton regarding the Human Resources Committee report? All right, thank you, Treasurer Creighton. We're going to move on to the board calendar. Were you getting ready to read the staff report, Dr. Townsend?
What I wanted to do is ask if we could bring this back because I mentioned this before, but there's some specific dates with regards to our business department and human resources. And this calendar, this is still the calendar from, I think, February 1st that was proposed by Secretary Triplett. And I'm reluctant to lock us into those specific dates because there's specific things that need to come to the board at a time for Benton Harbor area schools with regards to business and finance and human resources. But I want to give an opportunity to share that with board members so we can make the adjustments on this calendar. I mentioned it at our board retreat, but I see this is not the updated calendar.
President Robinson.
Go ahead, Secretary Triplett.
Yeah, so we look at the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education, the annual calendar for the Board of Education. As we said in our retreat, this is our calendar of events that need to be happening that we need to be focused and start working on right now. It was requested that they got that information to us as soon as possible. I think that there are things that need to be worked. Well, there are things that are coming in mind we need to be doing right now. And there are things that have already been that's on this calendar that this is in relationship to board work. So that's why I asked you to put this on here and to make sure that we start working as a board. This is our annual calendar. And so if there's anything like with financial reports of the dates and what have you, that's fine. But the thing on this thing is basically the Board of Education. So I asked you to bring it in tonight.
Okay, Liz, can you actually pull up the actual report so that we can get it read? And then it will allow Dr. Townsend to see that there's flexibility in the calendar as it stands. So it says, reason for board approval. The Board of Education would like to establish a standardized calendar of necessary responsibilities and tasks that it can refer to this year. This is designed to create a reference tool that allows the board to consider monthly duties and items of interest. This schedule is subject to change as priorities and goals are established. Facts and analysis, the resolution to adopt a formal board calendar that highlights specific tasks and events to take place this year. Policy reference, there is no policy reference. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to adopt the board calendar as presented. So Dr. Townsend, you'll see that the resolution as it stands allows for flexibility of the calendar. So it doesn't necessarily lock us into any specific dates. It has those responsibilities and things that we have to be concerned with. But if there's flexibility needed to adjust something to move from one month to another, this resolution allows us to do that.
Copy received. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the board calendar as recommended, that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to adopt the board calendar as presented?
I make a motion to approve the board calendar as presented.
Is there a support?
I support.
Okay, so the motion has been moved by Vice President Bradley and supported by Treasurer Creighton. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns?
I was just gonna make a comment real quick, Madam President.
Go ahead, Vice President Bradley.
I was just gonna say, I'm glad that we're getting this rolling, and I'm glad that it allows flexibility for our superintendent as well, so that way we can just kind of have a roadmap to guide us through the year.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
President Robinson.
Yes, Secretary.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You know, I spoke with you earlier about me what's happening on my computer, where this screen is just put up here frozen. I can't get to my tabs to be able to do my work. So I'm not sure exactly what's happening. So if anybody from the technology department, because it's not anything that I'm doing, this is the second time that this happened. And I'm trying to, I'm looking at my options of what have you, go to the original side, it's not moving. So I'm having a problem getting back into it.
Okay, do you have the ability to, can you pull up your email on your screen, Secretary Triplett, so that you can follow the agenda on your own screen versus looking at Liz's share screen?
I could until about 2 minutes ago.
Okay, can we have someone from IT consult with Secretary Triplett so we can make sure he can follow along with the agenda?
Yep, we're on
Dr.
it.
Townsend? Okay, thank you so much. Dr. Townsend, do you have any additional input on the board calendar as it stands? Do you see that it provides that flexibility?
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other input, questions, comments, or concerns regarding the board calendar? And so I wanted to ensure that it did provide that flexibility because, as we know, there's a couple things that are on the board calendar for February or March that we may not have actually tackled. And so if we get to a particular month and we see that there's an item on the calendar that we haven't been able to address just yet, or if Dr. Townsend looks at the calendar and says, okay, well, this is also something that according to Mr. Johnson, we need to be doing in May, it gives us the flexibility to make those adjustments to our calendar, but we at least need to start with something so the board has a guide and direction to proceed with. Okay, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll for the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton. Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan, Trustee Rocket,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, next up on the agenda, we have our Board of Education norms. And so if there was anyone in the meeting, you noticed that the board calendar and the Board of Education norms were not something that we necessarily went over in our work session meeting last week. However, these were things we went over in our 2/27/21 board retreat. So we wanted to ensure that we brought these back just to share with the board the updated version of the form that we developed, as well as sharing with the community so that the community is aware of the norms that we will use to guide the way that we interact and conduct business in our public meetings and in our committee meetings moving forward. So I'm just going to review those really quickly. Board of Education norms for Benton Harbor area schools. We will treat each other with respect. We will listen to learn. We will refrain from side conversations. We will use our time wisely, starting and ending our meetings on time. I know that's probably a big one for the community. We are working really hard on that. We will challenge ideas, not people. We will ask questions when in doubt. There will be no surprises at the board table, and we will practice the 7 norms of collaboration. And so if you continue with the document, we actually have the 7 norms of collaboration listed. Pausing, which is pausing before responding or asking a question, allows for thinking and enhances the dialogue, discussion, and decision-making. Paraphrasing, using a paraphrase starter that is comfortable for you, so or as you are or you are thinking, and following the starter with an efficient paraphrase assists members of the group in hearing and understanding one another as they converse and make decisions. And I won't read through each of the descriptions, but 3 is posing questions, 4 is putting ideas on the table, 5 is providing data, 6 is paying attention to self and others, 7 is presuming positive intention, which we have indicated is a major one for us, just assuming positive intentions when receiving questions or clarifications or concerns expressed by board members. So these are the norms that we're going to be utilizing to guide the way that we interact with each other in our board meetings and our committee meetings and conducting business moving forward. So we're not necessarily taking a vote on this, but I did want to give the board an opportunity to see this updated document and also share it with the community so you know what we're doing to try to ensure that we are having an efficient management of our business when we come to the board table. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns from the Board of Education? And I want to thank Secretary Triplett for providing the norms of collaboration to us from one of his recent trainings, and we decided to add that as one of the standard board norms and then provide the example. So when we come back in person for board meetings, these will be at the table in hard copy form, laminated for the board, so that we're always aware of what our expectations are with our norms. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
President Robinson?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think we also mentioned when we were in our retreat, we looked at it, and like you said, there are of the 7 norms of collaboration. This is something that we wanted to introduce to our community as well, so that they could start looking at it. And we said that we would have it on the back of our agendas and what have you available once we come back in person, so that everybody can just start developing a culture of professionalism and of respect that align with our norms and what have you, but our community will also be educated and involved in some of these things. And as I was sharing, when these were presented, and this is something that has been a part of our professional development in our school district for years, and just in a current workshop, but you know, identifying things that you need to work on, or that each person individually, when you look at these things, you identify things that you need to work on. And I think it just helps us to be able to collaborate a lot better. So I'm excited about this move, and for our community, and we want to continue to encourage our citizens to be able to grow as we grow. Thank you,
Secretary Triplett. And that was something that you all mentioned. It was something that was refreshed for you in one of your trainings, but you and Trustee Raquette Martin did indicate that it was something that the district used prior as well. All right, next we have Dr. Townsend providing his reports for us. He's going to begin with the superintendent response to public comments.
Hello, everybody. I hope everyone in the community's week is off to a great start. I'll start by reading our response to public comment and question protocol. I want everyone to know that their voice is very important, and it's our #1 goal to ensure that we answer your questions, comments, or concerns that come to my desk. But I want to be effective and efficient with our communication, so you can have all the information that you need for your young people to be successful. So this protocol has been established to provide prompt and thorough responses to all public comment questions posed during the public comment section of the Board of Education public meeting. Additionally, this protocol will be used for all meetings that are conducted in a virtual setting. A revised protocol will be developed once Board of Education meetings return to an in-person setting. Step 1, the district designated secretary to the Board of Education will collect all information regarding the participant and comments. The full name, address, phone number, and email, if available, should be collected. The comments and questions should be scripted from the taped Board of Education meeting to ensure accuracy. Step 2, the secretary is to share all comments and questions to the superintendent and forward each comment and question to the appropriate department head for response. Step 3, the department head will be responsible for providing the necessary responses. All responses shall be formatted on the listed below using the departmental letterhead, beginning with the document RE: and the individual's name. Begin each response by stating the question and respond to each question by stating the response under response : Once complete, the response should be returned to the secretary. Step 4, questions and responses will be mailed to the individual who submitted the question. Copies of written responses will be forwarded to the Office of Information Service to post on our district website. our website has been updated to include a drop-down called Public Comment Responses. At bentonharborareaschools.org, hit School Board and hit Public Comment Responses. Thank you so much. Additionally, on the agenda, I want to give a pre-message on the Graduation Alliance. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know, we have young people that we serve in all capacities, and we want to maintain our competitive edge with educating all students who are for Benton Harbor area schools. As we also know, there is a charter school coming to Benton Harbor very, very soon that's specifically looking to focus on alternative education and young people that drop out. We can provide that exact same service as an assistant superintendent in the Metro Detroit School District. I utilize Graduation Alliance to capture all of our students, and we were responsible and accountable for every last one of them. And it gave them an opportunity to graduate from high school, to get that diploma, to go off to a post-secondary opportunity. So I just want a pre-message from dropout recovery programs and alternative education academies. The Graduation Alliance build their school district partners, their fully accredited online private school and workforce development programs. The connection between education and life opportunities are indisputable. We as Benton Harbor area schools must be able to educate all of our students that don't fit in the traditional setting, young people that kind of counsel themselves out of that alternative setting. We have another option that can ensure even some of our young people who have potentially dropped out in the past can get re-engaged and go off into our greater community. My expectation is to have some literature to the Board of Education in April's work session. So again, this is a pre-message. Hopefully our Board of Education find this information helpful and useful for our young people, and we can move forward educating them. Next on the agenda, and I mentioned this last week, but I'll re-mention it again, is our return to face-to-face plan. And hopefully this is good information to let you know that the educators here in Benton Harbor Benton Harbor area schools are working extremely hard to re-engage our high school students back to in-person learning. So 4 considerations, we looked at stakeholder opinions, staff, students, and parents, executive orders, healthcare professionals' recommendations, such as the Berrien County Health Department and the Benton Harbor contacts. Going to stakeholder opinion, we asked the question, how do you feel about bringing our students back to school? We received 24 responses from our teachers, support staff, administrators, and instructional staff. And as you can see that we had a great majority, I have the data here, about 38% of our staff members said yes to bringing our young people back, with regards to about 60% leaning towards the no side. The next slide, asking our students, we received about 243 responses. 207 of those young people were students, 35 were parents. And we asked, if given the choice of learning in the building or learning virtually, what would be best for your learning? Roughly 80% of our young people are looking for some type of in-person learning, with about 20% saying no. And we look at the parents, about 37% of the parents are saying yes, with about 60% saying no. Very, very important information for us, because it gave us an opportunity to kind of meet everybody where they are. Now, looking at executive orders, the Phase 4 roadmap of the executive order. Currently, our district is following the Phase 4 roadmap. This allows for in-person instruction with requirements and strong recommendations. Benton Harbor area schools continue to work within the perimeters of both plans that are written, submitted, and approved by the state. We submitted our Benton Harbor Return to School roadmap to the Department of Education and Berrien Reese on June 16, 2020, and our extended COVID-19 learning plan was submitted on October 1st, 2020 as well. Recommendation from our health professionals. The research is saying that the reduced risk of infection by social distancing, wearing face masks, and frequent hand washing. I had the privilege of escorting our board members on a tour of our campuses that were in person, and they had the opportunity of seeing the safety requirements in place for our young people and our staff members. The Benton Harbor contacts, our decisions were based upon community's dynamic, our parents' need, our students' needs, and whole staff meeting input. Ultimately, the high school return plan was developed by weekly team meetings, staff surveys, parent and student surveys, whole staff meeting inputs. The selected model based on surveys is AM face-to-face block schedule and a PM virtual block schedule. So for example, Monday and Wednesdays will host periods 1 and 2, while Tuesday and Thursday will host periods 3 and 4. Young people will be in the AM session from 7:50 in the morning to about 10:50, while in the afternoon on the virtual block at school will start at 12 o'clock and end at 2:55. All students will have a blended face-to-face and virtual model. Fridays will continue to be virtual for staff and students, and the virtual office hours will be posted on Fridays, as well as professional development and staff meetings. Please note again, any student can go back to being 100% virtual if at any time. I do want to message this: Buchanan High School, as well as I believe Berrien Springs High School, just this week is all virtual right now because they had issues with COVID-19 and they did not have the opportunity for staff. So we do have our fingers on the pulse of us potentially having to go 100% virtual at the high school if there's some infections taking place or we can't do the appropriate tracing. We may have to go back virtual, but we're being positive and looking with a positive mental outlook, and hopefully we can complete our last semester or our last quarter in person. The model rationale was based on honoring all stakeholders' concerns, re-engaging students, an opportunity to celebrate our class of 2021, allow for all student learning styles, reduced class sizes, fewer transitions, and ample time for sanitizing between classes. Another information I want to share with you, our registration announcement. I know last time we talked about engagement, but I do want to tell you, we've been trying our best to ramp up getting that parent-student engagement information about registration. On Facebook, we reached 5,640 individuals with 1,294 engagements. We placed 1,368 phone calls, mailed out 622 letters, 231 emails, and additional reminders are given by teachers in their classrooms. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you last week, we're going to hold ourselves accountable, but still execute, and we're still trying our best to get as much input as possible. As you do know, our window of registration is still open for the remainder of this week, so we can get that final count of young people that are expected to be back in the high school. That concludes my update on high school face-to-face return.
Okay, Dr. Towns, I just want to pause you really quickly before you move to the COVID protocols. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns on anything that Dr. Townsend has shared? Does the board have any input or questions? I know we went through this information prior, but I believe Secretary Triplett did not get a chance to hear the full Graduation Alliance information in the initial meeting. So I wanted to just pause to see if Secretary Triplett has questions about that particular section, or if either of the board members have any additional questions regarding superintendent response to public comments, Graduation Alliance information, or the update on high school return to face-to-face.
President Robinson, Dr. Townsend did respond to me and gave me the information that he gave tonight, that it was just in, it was an intro to what's to come. So I did get my questions answered as it relates to the Graduation Alliance information. I do have some questions, but I want to make sure that I give our superintendent an opportunity to respond as it relates to the update on our high school return to face-to-face. So there are some things I did get an opportunity to look at it in detail and in depth over the weekend. And so again, like I said, I want to give him an opportunity to respond to my questions. And I wanted to also ask, is there still room for changes and updates as it relates to what's being presented tonight?
That's a great question. Yeah, our goal is to be able to monitor and adjust at any given time. If we have to make any necessary adjustments to support young people and their families, we're definitely open to that. I don't think anything is written in stone during this pandemic, but our team is putting their best effort forward to bring our young people back in person at the high school.
Yes, also, Dr. Townsend, another question was, as we discussed in our work session, the actual surveys, and just some concerns about the numbers and what have you listed in the survey, so we can get more. I would like to see more. I think I asked in the workshop if you guys were going to continue to reach out to parents and students and stakeholders, so we can get those numbers up and have more a wider range and more people involved in the actual survey as it relates to coming back to school.
Yes, sir. We do know that we did get a good sample size. Is not I always want 100%. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. Even when I look at the engagement on our Facebook page, even though we reached over 5,000 people with over 1,000 engagements, a lot of people still did not take the actual survey or complete the survey. But we're going to still put our best effort forward and recruit and get as much information as possible.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Am I able to move on, President Robinson?
If you can proceed, I think the questions that the additional clarifications he needed, I believe, was sent by email. So you can proceed with the remainder of your presentation. Thank you so much for pausing. I know often if we don't get a chance to ask our question right at that point, we'll forget. So I just wanted to give them an opportunity to do so. So
awesome, not a problem. Now I'm going to give an overview of the COVID protocols and procedures that are in place for in-school, in-person learning. Let me get this pulled up here. So we have a preparedness plan for face-to-face learning. As a reminder, we did post a video outlining everything in this presentation about how we're returning back in person with the classroom. So that can be watched on our Facebook page on the video. If you look at August 8th, 2020, you can see a visual representation, but I will give the Google Slides presentation today. So August of 2020, our district was required to develop and submit a return to learn plan for state approval. After following a process of convening the superintendent's task force and surveying parents, students, and staff, Benton Harbor area schools decided to return in a virtual, blended, face-to-face format. Parents had the option to choose K-8 face-to-face and or K-8 virtual. Further recommendations supported delaying face-to-face instruction at the high school level until more information was provided about the health and safety of our young adults as it related to COVID-19. The health and safety preparedness precautions we took were all classrooms were decluttered and reduced to only necessary items. Each classroom setup was with 12 desks spaced 6 feet apart, wall hand sanitizer units mounted in every classroom, and each teacher received a 5-gallon bucket of 800 wipes. Each building received 6 standing portable hand sanitizing units for hallway and office usage. All buildings were required to designate an isolation room. All buildings were required to identify entrance and exit points to manage the direction and flow of foot traffic, and all buildings received floor and wall social distancing stickers and posters to ensure directionality and spacing. Each designated entry point required temperature checks, and students who use the bus are required to have temperatures checked before exiting. The preparedness plan prohibits the use of lockers to avoid congregation, use of backpacks to avoid food and other items being brought in-person meetings, all virtual until June 2021, the use of cafeteria, all meals are packaged in a grab and go, and mixing of classes, we're using the pod concept. The district provides personal protection equipment for all students and staff upon request, handheld thermometers upon request, and room sanitizing after close contact sports using our Clorox 360 machine. Daily room and common areas are cleaned often. More decent development and updates, we hired a district nurse in November who oversees all health-related COVID-19 concerns. Benton Harbor area schools' participation in the pilot to receive first vaccinations in the area and antigen testings are now available upon request. Also, if you recall, we had the testing area behind the high school where we test over 4,000 individuals for COVID-19, nearly over 1,000 individuals did test positive. So about 25% in our community were tested positive right here at the high school. But that was good for us to make that testing available. specific to the high school return, in addition to all the precautions we described, the high school will designate each stairwell as either up or down for direction. We have 4 youth advocates, an in-school suspension supervisor and behavioral specialist will be assigned to a quadrant of the school for continuous monitoring of the hallways. In addition to all those precautions, we have, oh, that's the same slide twice. In addition, I'm excited to have my office located on the 3rd floor of the high school, so I can also support with other central office personnel with an all hands on deck mentality to ensure that our young people have the best learning environment possible, supporting our principals, teachers alike, and to get our young people through this 4th quarter successfully. And again, I also would message that we had the privilege and pleasure of giving our board members a tour of our campuses to actually see the health and safety precautions in place at our in-person buildings. That concludes my preparedness plan for face-to-face learning. Would you like for me to move on, Secretary? President Robinson?
Before we proceed with the good news, are there any questions regarding the overview of the COVID protocols? Okay, you can go ahead, Dr. Townsend.
Now, here's the good news. These next 2 links on the agenda are basically 2 in the same. They're pretty much the same. One is the official communication from our Department of Education. I'll read this. The Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant Award. The Michigan Department of Education is pleased to announce the 5 local education agencies that will receive federal literacy funds of approximately $3 million over a 5-year period. The districts are Benton Harbor Area Schools, Detroit Public Schools Community District, Flint Community Schools, Muskegon Heights Public School Academy, and Pontiac School District. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be clear. This is a big win for Benton Harbor Area Schools, a very, very competitive grant. And I'm so happy that our state leadership believe that Benton Harbor have the capacity to execute and engage our young people in leveling up with regards to literacy. And please know, I want the community to know that you have some unsung heroes right here in the district, and not only at the board level, but also at the administrative level, who live and breathe Benton Harbor Area Schools. And at all times, we're looking for all the resources to support academic achievement right here in the district. This is a big deal. This is something major that should be celebrated. As you know, we are a deficit district, and now we have monies to support with professional development for educators, talk about literacy, curriculum, the whole 9. We're going to make sure we execute for our young people. The other attachment I have here is the press release that we put out. And I'll just read my statement just for capturing purposes. Superintendent Townsend said, literacy is our primary focus of Benton Harbor Area Schools. An opportunity to get this grant to focus on literacy is a game changer for our young people. We cannot wait to execute the plan. And ladies and gentlemen, I truly, truly believe that. I really can't wait to see how we increase over time. And I want our community to understand that change is not an event, it's a process. So, you know, I want us to always look and don't continue to say, this is bad, this is bad. Let's say, hey, where will we be this time next year? And after that, set the bar, meet the bar, exceed the bar, raise the bar. Things are not perfect, but things will get better over time. I can commit to that. That's all for my superintendent announcements, President Robinson.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Townsend. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the MDE grant that was received or the public press release that was provided? Any input from the board?
I'd like to give a shout out to those that did the work in writing the grant, and so that it was accepted by the MDE, so we can get that kind of dollars in our district. And I believe $3 million can go a long way in helping to increase our children reading scores and the things that the tools that they need for becoming better readers. So hats off to you, Dr. Townsend, and your staff.
Thank you, Trustee Rockette Martin. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns from the board regarding the MDE grant?
I would just want to say, President Robinson, may I speak? Sorry, first.
You have the floor, Trustee
Sorry.
Bowen.
I just want to say congratulations and job well done. And it was exciting, you know, when someone from the State Board of Education Facebooked me the info. I thought I was first to the news, and I sent it to Deshawn, and she's like, "Oh, he already sent the email." I was like, "God darn it!" So, congratulations, and I'm excited about this.
Thank you, Trustee Bowens. Is there anyone else that would
Madam
like?
President.
You have the floor, Vice President Bradley.
Yeah, I just wanted to say this is awesome news, and when I received the email, I was really excited. And this is just, you know, a step in the right direction. I know how important reading is to getting you anywhere in life, and so this is awesome for our students, and with the right visionaries, with the right vision, and we can keep this ball rolling and moving forward in the future. So in that way we can, like you said, meet the vision that you always speak of, Dr. Townsend. So congrats to your staff, the hard work, you know, because a lot of people, we see the news, you know, up front, but behind the scenes is who gets all the work done, the mover and shakers. So congrats to all the movers and shakers that work behind the scenes to make sure that we get this awesome opportunity.
Thank you, Vice President Bradley. Secretary Triplett, I can hear you. I think were you making statements? I do see you in the chat with IT about being able to speak. I can hear you partially. Yes, Secretary Triplett. Secretary Triplett, are you able to unmute? I can hear you partially. Okay, it looks like he's on the line. Mr. Corson says it appears his connection is unstable. So we'll try to, Mr. Corson, if you can let me know when he gets back on the line, we want to ensure that we give him an opportunity to speak.
He is on the line and he has not been kicked from the meeting, but I believe his audio problems are from his connection.
You talking about me, President Robinson?
Yes, Secretary Triplett, you present?
I'm present.
Okay.
We're gonna work through this. I'm
Okay.
Dr. Townsend. You don't have to give me a tutorial. I'm more computer lit than one would know. But I do want to take this opportunity to say to Dr. Townsend and to the team, congratulations on a job well done. It's always amazing to hear good news. You know, people always have, you know, when you have comments and you're always saying things that's contrary to what's being presented. When people are doing a good job, they need to be, that needs to be acknowledged. And I really am excited. I know that this didn't just come out. There had to be some work and preparation done. So thank you so very much. And I'm wishing you all the very, very best as you get ready to move forward with this great and amazing award to Ben Harbor area schools.
Thank you, Secretary Triplett. Are there any other comments from our trustees? I think we've heard from 4 trustees. Treasurer Creighton, did you have anything that you'd like to add?
Well, I do, but I'm going to save it to the board comments, in my board comments.
Okay, awesome. Treasurer Buchanan, are you on the line? Would you like to provide any input in this time? I would just like to say congratulations, just as everyone else did. We're extremely proud of the grant that's been received. I know you all will be able to do amazing things. I did get a chance to let Dr. Townsend know via email that I was excited and proud of the district, but I just want to ensure that we are recognizing our leadership, but as well as the staff that put in the hours of preparing for, you know, the grant. There's a lot of work that goes into writing a grant that we don't see. So we know that you all worked hard collectively to ensure that the district was able to receive this grant for literacy. So we are extremely proud, and I'm excited to see what you all will do with the monies received. So congratulations, Dr. Townsend, your executive team, and all staff involved in receiving this grant. We are going to proceed with the staff report F1 presented by Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. The subject is monthly financial reports. Reason for board consideration is a set of financial reports is provided to the Board of Education each month. Facts analysis. This evening, it's recommended that payments for all of the district's funds be approved for January 2021. Policy reference is 6470, payment of claims. And the recommended action is that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education vote to approve the January 2021 payments for all the funds listed on the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Are there any, can I have a motion to accept staff report F1?
So moved.
Okay, the motion has been moved by Secretary Triplett. Is there support or a second?
Support.
The motion has been moved by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Bowens. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report F1?
That was Vice President Bradley did that support.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I told you about that. No,
Sometimes you all sound more like what you think. So my apologies. It was moved by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley for records purposes. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report F1?
Yes, the one that you see on the screen is not the correct staff report. Liz, it would be the one for March that's dated March 9, 2021.
It'll take me a second to pull it up, please. Sorry about that.
Okay, so Liz, you may want to unshare your screen if you have to go into your documents. I don't know if there's anything that you don't want to share.
Board President Robinson, I got a quick question. Should we rescind that motion then? Because if
yes, Trustee Bowens, I was going to do that.
Okay.
But we did get the correct report.
We
in
had
our email.
Yeah, we had it last week at the work session, so we just want to yeah. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for your catch of the document. Okay, do you want to restart with the report again, Mr. Johnson?
The same as I read. Thank you, because I was reading off my version, which is the corrected version, which is the correct version. Thank you. It's the only difference is on this version, it does not have the, this version is correct.
Okay, awesome. So now we have the correct document presented before the board and the public. Is there a motion to approve staff report F1 as it is presented? Secretary Triplett, do you want to reconfirm your motion?
So moved.
Okay, is there support? Vice President Bradley, do you want to re-support?
Support.
Okay, the motion has been moved by Secretary Triplett and supported by Vice President Bradley that we approve staff report F1, which is now correctly reflected on the screen for everyone. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report F1 from the board? Okay, hearing none, we're going to proceed. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll?
President Robinson.
Yes.
Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
Trustee Bowens.
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan. Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett. Yes, motion carried.
Okay, awesome. So for human resources, we did not have a report for this particular section. We will move forward with teaching and learning. Dr. Shelton. And just a reminder for the community, while she prepares for her report, there is a moment for public comment regarding the extended learning plan after she presents it.
Good evening. This is our extended COVID learning plan report out for March. Each month we report on progress on educational goals, when the assessment is given, weekly interaction rates, and instructional delivery. And weekly interaction rates, I'm sorry, I didn't update that. That should be from the end of February until the first week in March. And during our last meeting, we did report on our NWEA data, MAP data, but I did have a note on that data that we were still in the process of doing makeups. So the makeups have been concluded and our scores have been adjusted. This is NWEA reading for K through 5, third grade reading. We did not experience the increase. Just next slide. K5 in math. Next slide. 6, 7, 8 in reading. And last slide. 6, 7, 8 in math. So we did experience an increase or growth, I should say, in all areas except third grade reading. Next slide. Interaction rates are as follows. I'll let you look at that. And I think we took away the asterisk now. I think we also mentioned that DEC, we were having problems pulling the DEC data. There was a problem in Power School. So we went back and we did a strike through to leave that data, what was originally reported, and we put in the corrected data. And that goes all the way back to December, I want to say, but that is actually on the document that is attached to the agenda every month. Next slide. And we are reconfirming that we are making no changes. We are still face-to-face K-8, virtual K-8, synchronous and asynchronous. And we are still 9/12, 100% virtual, which is both synchronous and asynchronous. We will be putting in with the Michigan Department of Education our change after the 22nd. So for our reconfirmation for the month of April, it will show a change. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve? Go ahead. Are you still? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, we have to do public comment.
Okay.
Sorry, I know we change it between the board meetings.
The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there are 3 areas for comment on the agenda of which you may decide when to speak. Public comment on agenda items only, public comment on the extended learning plan, which is where we are currently, and open public comment. Per policy 0167.3, which governs board participation at board meetings, we request that you preface your comments by an announcement of your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to a 3-minute duration, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once during this meeting. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. I, as president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. If you have specific questions for the board or executive team that require follow-up, please email those directly to liz.goodwin@bentonharbor-areaschools.org. Is there anyone on the line that has public comment on the extended learning plan?
Hi, my name is Sharon James. I just have a quick question. Is there any way that you can direct me to the Open Meetings Act information that restricts comments to agenda topics? I would just like maybe if Ms. Goodwin can forward me some information pertaining to that. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that has a comment? Go ahead, Dr. Tom. You're muted, sir.
Sorry. I want to shout out our educators, and you had an opportunity to see there was growth in every area, with the exception of third grade, that one third grade subject area. I mean, you remember in the past when we were looking at the data, we saw kind of a decrease in some areas. So our teachers are working extremely hard. Our principals are leading extremely hard. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a thankless job. And the reward is in our young people achieving. So I want to, as a superintendent, personally give a huge shout out to our educators who are doing the hard work on a day in, day out basis. And also congratulations to our young people that are achieving and staying engaged academically. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Townsend. Is there anyone else for public comment on the extended learning plan?
I'd like to echo the same sentiments as Dr. Townsend.
Hold on one quick second, Trustee Raquel Martin. I just want to ensure we don't have anyone else for public comment, and then I'll open it up to the board. I kind of allowed Dr. Townsend to sneak in there, but just want to ensure there's no one else for public comment. Okay, go ahead, Trustee Raquel Martin.
Okay, had to unmute. Yes, I'd like to echo the same sentiments as Dr. Townsend. Being a former educator, I know to consistently keep your scores high, it takes a lot of work, and to address deficits in children, it takes a lot of work. And so I'd like to send a shout out to the teachers of Benton Harbor School District, and to the students, and even to my third graders. I'd like to shout out to them. They just have to keep working just a little harder, but they're coming forth. So yes, so hats off to everybody in the face of this pandemic and all of the other stresses that we've had in our school district. It is a well-deserved praise. So just keep up the good work, and we're behind you to help you fight this battle.
Thank you, Trustee Raquel Martin. Can I get a motion on the floor to accept staff report T1?
I have to read it.
Oh, go ahead and read it, Dr. Shaw.
Fine. Reason for board consideration. On August 20th, 2020, Governor Whitmore signed House Bill 5913 into law as Public Act 149, Section 98E. States that in order to receive state aid for 2020-2021, districts must provide for instruction under an extended COVID learning plan, referred to as the plan, that has been approved by an intermediate district or authorizing body. The plan must be reconfirmed each month at the monthly meeting of the school board. Facts and analysis. In policy 0122 board powers, the board has the responsibility to the performance of any function related to the operation of the school district in the interests of public elementary and secondary education in the district, including educating students and providing for the safety and welfare of students while at school or at school-sponsored activity or while en route to or from school or school-sponsored activity. Policy reference, Michigan Public Act 149, Section 98A. Recommended action, that Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education reconfirm there is no modification to the instructional delivery mode of the COVID-19 extended learning plan.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Shelton. Can I have a motion to approve staff report T1?
I make a motion to approve staff report T1.
Is there support?
I support.
Okay, so the motion has been moved or made by Vice President Bradley and supported by Trustee Rockett Martin. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the extended learning plan?
I do have one question, President Robinson.
Treasurer Creighton, go ahead.
It's just a general question. I just wonder what changes might propose be made for our next report and when we find out more about those changes.
Dr. Shelton, I believe that was a question for you.
Yes, I didn't know if you wanted us to answer. I'm sorry, what, can I get it repeated? What changes are going to be made? Is that the question? I just want to be clear.
Yes.
Well, if we go back face-to-face without barring anything stopping us from returning to face-to-face at the high school on the 22nd, that will be the change that will be reflected and reported to the state on April 1st. I'm just looking at a calendar. On April 1st, when we fill out our report, and it will come to the working section on April 6th. So the only change would be, again, unless there's something that happens and we close school for some reason or go virtual 100% across the board for some reason, the only change will be that the high school will now move from 100% virtual to blended.
Okay, and then thank you so much for that. And also, and I don't know if this is the appropriate time, President Robinson, but I would also like to make a recommendation or a suggestion that if we could hear this report at our work session, so that if we do have any questions, we can work that out versus waiting until the night that we vote.
Okay, thank you, Treasurer Creighton. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns regarding staff report T1? Okay, Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll for the vote?
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Trustee Rockett Martin,
Yes.
Trustee Bowen,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan,
Just an FYI, Trustee Buchanan is present. She doesn't know how to unmute her mic, but she did call me on her phone, just FYI.
Treasurer Creighton, Secretary Triplett, yes, motion carried.
Okay. Thank you. Next, we're gonna move on to Mr. Miller, our Chief of Student Support Services, with the Concentric Educational Solutions update.
President Robinson.
Yes, ma'am.
While Mr. Miller is getting his things together, is it possible for the technology to unmute Ms. Buchanan?
She is unmuted in the meeting. We can give her another phone call.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure that you know we can incorporate her into the meeting to the best of our ability.
Thank you, Treasurer Creighton.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So this is our Concentric Educational Solutions update for the first semester from November to January. We have 271 home visits done by Concentric for 242 of our students. 130 of those home visits were hard contacts, where Concentric met with a parent, guardian, family member, student, or family friend. 124 was a soft contact, where a letter was left at the residence. And some of the student outcomes, out of the 242 students, 128 students re-engaged back into our virtual learning or in-person learning, which is 52.89%. 9 out of 242, 3% students transferred out of the district. And we had over 32 meetings with Concentric with our buildings and our schools. And some of the reasons for absences were issues with technology, issues managing online learning, and family challenges. And these reasons was taken back to our building support teams, and we've made adjustments so we can, better serve our students. And that's conclude the Concentric updates.
Okay, are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Mr. Miller regarding the Concentric Educational Solutions update? I know we had our work session last week. We did have some comments, but I just wanted to ensure that I gave everybody an opportunity to give any additional feedback or ask any clarifications needed. Okay, so next it appears we have on our agenda moving to a closed section under Section 8B of the Opens Meeting Act and Policy 0167, Section B, to consider the dismissal, suspension, or disciplining of a student. And then after which we will come back to discuss staff report SSS1.
President Robinson,
Yes, sir.
we didn't take a vote to accept the report of Mr. Miller.
Yeah, he doesn't actually have a staff report number because he's not requesting that we make any action. Go ahead, Dr. Thompson.
Yeah, correct. That does not need any approval. I'm just trying to over communicate and be transparent, because I remember at the beginning when we got that contract, there was some confusion there. So we just add as an update for every board meeting, but it does not need to be approved.
Okay, it was on the actual sheet, my sheet that was submitted to me, so I thought there was a vote, but thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for being on top of it, Secretary Triplett. You can indicate NA, and then in that bottom note section, you can just indicate that no vote was required for Mr. Miller's report.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and we'll try to ensure that your sheet is accurate according to the votes that we have to take moving forward. Okay, so can I have a motion to enter the closed session for Section 8B of the Open Meetings Act and Policy 0167, Section B, to consider the dismissal, suspension, or disciplining of a student?
So move.
Okay, it has been moved by Secretary Triplett. Is there support?
I support.
Okay, so the motion has been moved by Secretary Triplett and supported by Trustee Rockette Martin. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll?
President Robinson.
Yes.
Trustee Rockette Martin.
Yes.
Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
Trustee Bowen. Trustee Bowens.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Trustee Buchanan. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, so we are gonna move into a closed session. We are gonna do our best to make this brief so that we can come back and continue with our business meeting for the public. We have returned from closed session. Can I have a motion to end closed session and return to open session?
I move that we close the closed session and enter into the open session.
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, so the motion has been moved by Trustee Rockette Martin and supported by Vice President Matthew Bradley that we end the closed session and return to open session. Secretary Triplett, can you please call the roll?
Yes, President Robinson.
Yes. You're muted, Trustee Triplett. I'm not sure if you're aware. Secretary Triplett.
President Robinson.
Yes.
Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Treasurer Creighton.
Say yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Trustee Buchanan.
Yes. Did you hear me?
Yes.
Did you hear me?
Trustee
Okay.
Barnes.
Yes.
Trustee Rockette Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, awesome. So, Mr. Miller, you can proceed with staff report SSS1. And Liz, can we please have you share your screen for the community so we can get the agenda on the screen? I'm not sure if you're aware we can't see it.
Subject, student reinstatement. Reason for board consideration, per policy, requires the school board to review any student request for reinstatement. Policy reference 5610.01. Facts and analysis. Following the incident in January of 2020, said student TP was expelled from Benton Harbor area schools. After 150 days, the policy allows the student family to petition the school board for reinstatement. A petition of reinstatement was received from the student family on February the 4th, 2021, to be reinstated at Benton Harbor area schools, Cape. Following the board policy, there was a review committee whose recommendation is as follows. Recommended action that the Benton Harbor Area Schools Board of Education votes to approve the reinstatement of the said student to the Benton Harbor Area Schools effective March the 10th, 2021.
And that notes March 9th, 2021,
Yeah,
Mr. Miller.
yeah, we can change that to tomorrow. Sorry about that.
All righty. Okay, can I have a motion to approve staff report SSS1?
Make a motion to. No, go ahead.
Put a motion on the floor to approve the staff report 111.
SSS one.
Oh,
Is there,
yes, sorry.
is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, so the motion has been made by trustee Bowens and supported by Vice President Bradley that we accept staff report SSS1. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding this report? I just want to indicate that the Board of Education truly believes in giving students second chances. So we are excited to get an opportunity to take a vote to allow the student to return to Benton Harbor area schools. So I'm going to go ahead and allow Secretary Triplett to take the vote to see if that is something that the Board of Education supports.
President Robinson,
Yes.
Vice President Bradley,
Yes.
Secretary Triplett, Treasurer Creighton,
Yes.
Trustee Bowens,
Yes.
Trustee Buchanan, Trustee Rocket Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, awesome. You can proceed with your winter sports update, Mr. Miller.
But excuse me, President Robinson,
Yes, ma'am. You want to enter your vote?
now the secretary, yes, yes.
Awesome. Thank
I
you
want to
so
say yes.
much. Yes, thank you. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Miller, with the winter sports update.
Okay, thank you. So for our winter sports updates, starting with our boys basketball team, they have the record of 9-2 right now, ranked high as number 4 in the state for Division II. Our Tigers posted a tough win against a very talented Saginaw Arthur Hill team, 73-70. And we also took wins against Gull Lake, 60-59, and Coloma, 52-49. Our upcoming games, we playing today against Berrien Springs at home, March the 11th against Schoolcraft away, March the 13th against Ottawa Hills at home. Districts, our district playoff starts March the 23rd at Coloma. Regional starts March the 30th and April the 1st at Vicksburg. Quarterfinals at Calvin College, April the 6th. The state semifinals is at Michigan State, April the 8th and April the 10th. And we have two players that's leading the way. Kentrell Pullen, he's averaging 22 points a game, 6 assists, 3 steals. And Javon Kai Gendel, sorry about that, 15 points a game, 8 rebounds. And our girls basketball team, their record is currently 4-3. First time in 3 years we have had a winning record during this portion of the season. So they're doing really good this year. The girls has posted a convincing win against River Valley, 49-30, and Comstock, 42-28, while we took a loss to Buchanan this past week. Upcoming games for our girls, we playing Berrien Springs today away, Comstock Park, March the 11th away, Battle Creek Calhoun Christian, March the 12th away. And we have two players that's leading the way, to Deniza Wright, 13 points a game. We have Ateria Pate Hackney. She had 6 steals in 1 game last week. Our wrestling team their record is 6-9. Like I said last year they didn't have any wins with duels, but it's a big improvement this year with the 6-9 record. We have our top individual match records. We have Dash Harris Moore. He's 13-0. He currently is ranked 7th in the state for Division III. Michael Kirby is 8-3, first-year wrestler. We have Marlon Bowman. He's 8-2. Anthony Gray, he's 8-4. Davis Powell, he's 10-5 for this year. In the upcoming meets, we are at Buchanan on March the 10th away. March the 17th, it's a dual team district at South Haven away. And March the 20th is individual wrestling districts at Concentric. Our spring sports has been pushed back a week to March the 22nd. MHSAA is still looking at possible new dates for the state tournaments. And Benton Harbor is currently looking for a track coach and a softball coach. That concludes winter sports updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns for Mr. Miller regarding the winter sports update from the Board of Education? I just want to indicate we're proud of our students in their performance in all sports areas. As he's indicated, we Tigers are something else, and there's no one quite like us as far as our courage and our determination to win. So I'm excited to see what our students have planned for us. So just want to say congratulations to our students for those noted wins. And of course, for any losses, we'll just continue to fight harder because that's what Tigers do. So congratulations to our students. We are going to proceed with our agenda. Thank you, Mr. Miller, for your information provided this afternoon. Do we have any old business from the board? I don't have any noted, but is there any old business that the board would like to discuss? Is there any new business that the board would like to discuss? Okay, so we're going to proceed to open public comment. And Liz, if you could get your timer that you normally use, just in case we have multiple individuals that would like to make a comment. I thought that was neat last week, very helpful for both us and the public. So if we can get that pulled up, that would be great. Okay, and the Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on district matters. Today, there are 3 areas of comment on the agenda of which you may decide when to speak: public comment on agenda items only, public comment on the extended learning plan, and open public comment. Per policy 0167.3, which governs board participation at board meetings, we request that you preface your comments by an announcement of your name, address, and group affiliation when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to a 3-minute duration, and per our bylaws, no participant may speak more than once during this meeting. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement, and not respond at this time. I, as president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response. If you have specific questions for the board or executive team that require follow-up, please email those directly to liz.goodwin@bentonharbor-areaschools.org. So is there anyone on the line for open public comment? I'll ask again, is there anyone on the line for open public comment? Okay, so we didn't have anyone that chose to respond to open public comment. And I just wanted to provide a clarification to the community. So our public comment, when I went recently to one of our trainings, I realized that Benton Harbor Area Schools is very flexible in the areas that we provide public comment. A lot of communities have one area for public comment. We have 3 different designated areas because we want to ensure if you want to speak to us before we take a vote, that you have an opportunity to speak at the beginning of the meeting. Because we are reconfirming the extended learning plan, we want to ensure that you all have an opportunity to speak then so that we can hear your insights and concerns regarding the extended learning plan. And then if you have a general comment for the district, or if you have input for what you've heard in the meeting, we give you an opportunity to speak then. So we're not restricting your opportunity to speak. We just want to make sure that we give you an opportunity to give us your input when it's best relevant. You have the opportunity to decide what you want to speak on at which particular section. So we're attempting looking to be extremely open to ensure that we have two-way communication with the public. We value your public comments that are made at each meeting, so we want to ensure that you have an opportunity to make comments when most relevant in the meeting so that we can hear you and proceed as needed. So we're going to move on to Dr. Townsend for his superintendent announcements and comments.
Hello again, everybody. Hopefully everyone have a great evening. I'd like to share that Fairplain Middle School student Deshaun Walters was selected to display his 2D artwork piece titled Fire and Ice at the Community Student Art Exposition at the Box Factory of the Arts. It will be on live display from March 19th through April 25th. This exhibition is a collaboration between Barry Arisa, the Crassel Art Center, and the Box Factory of the Arts. It allows students the opportunity to professionally display their work and gain gallery experience. Major shout out to Deshaun Walters at Fairplain Middle School. Also, Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist came to town to introduce Tiger the Snowplow to 5th grade class at Fairplain East Elementary School. Those young people won the naming contest. Major shout out to teacher Roxanne Gilbert and Principal Litton for their leadership. Hopefully everyone goes to our Facebook page and see the video and the Tiger Snowplow and our young people. Also, I'm excited to announce that Benton Harbor Area Schools wrote a grant to the Michigan Department of Education to advocate for financial resources to support literacy and was awarded $3 million over the next 5 years. We are one of 5 school districts in the state to be awarded. Again, I say that literacy is our primary focus here in Benton Harbor Area Schools, and an opportunity to get this grant to focus on literacy is a game changer for our young people. We cannot wait to execute the plan. Also on February 17th, outside of the River The Real Deal, there was a virtual book meeting, release and launch, directed and led by Dr. Ryan Goebel, principal of MLK Elementary School. Major shout out to the young authors who led that work and the educators who supported. Great, great, great book. This is it right here. Get yourself a copy. This is the sequel to The Other Side of the River, okay? So make sure you support our young people. Get that book. Major shout out to the Benton Harbor Education Foundation as well. Major shout out to senior Tyler Meeks. Benton Harbor High School is the winner. He was the Benton Harbor High School winner title, he won the title of 2021 Youth of the Year for the Boys and Girls Club of Benton Harbor at a virtual celebration on February the 11th. Major shout out to Tyler Meeks. Additionally, Tyler Meeks, as well as Kentrell Pulliam, was awarded as young leaders in our community by Governor Gretchen Whitmer, as well as Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist. Major shout out to our young men in the community at the high school, really doing great things in our community. And very last, I want to also message that I found out on last Monday that I was elected to be a member of the WNIT PBS board. I'm excited to serve that organization to see how we can bring resources to Benton Harbor Area Schools. It's a privilege and pleasure to serve as our superintendent. I hope everyone have a great rest of the day.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Townsend. Now we are going to proceed to board member announcements and comments. I am going to switch it up a little bit and start with Trustee Bowens this evening.
Good evening. It's been a whirlwind. This week, Tuesday, I was at the event with the Lieutenant Governor, and it was just so amazing. 2 of the teachers took our students out to see him because they, didn't realize it was a moment in history. Who's to ever say that Michigan will ever have another Black Lieutenant Governor? So that was pretty interesting. I want to talk about the spirit of winning. I think when we all win, the children of Benton Harbor win. And that's by making sure they have a quality education. I'm sorry. That's making sure they have a quality education and we are providing the adequate resources. So Dr. Townsend, I want to be a partner with you in making sure that our children are getting the adequate resources and education. Next week, Fairplain Northeast called me. They kind of shocked me a little bit, but they want me to read to their students of that school. So I'm pretty excited about that. I bought them a whole bunch of packaged goodies and everything. And I'm going to be reading a book called You Can Do Anything. And it's pretty inspiring and motivating. And I hope the kids take there from that. I'm going to end off with this quote by Dr. Steve Perry. If you know who Steve Perry is, he's a highly respectable turnaround person in Connecticut. And it made me think, I was kind of upset a few weeks ago about it, ABC 57 coverage and everything. To be honest, I'm like, okay, we're not showcasing some of the negatives. We can't act like everything is so positive and hope you change. We got to be real. And I thought about it and I talked to people and they chastised me and they put me in line. And when I was listening to Dr. Steve Perry the other day, he said this quote. He said, we have focused only on the negatives and not enough on the incredible stories of the human spirit and the rebirth and rebuilding. That's equally important as tragedy. And that statement was pretty profound to me. So from here on, I want to be a partner in making sure that our kids are getting the adequate education. I'm not for any malarkey or anything, but I'm for what's right in making sure that if I can be any assistance, let me know. That's it. God bless you.
Thank you, Trustee Bowens, for your comments tonight. We're going to go next to Trustee Buchanan. I believe that was her that spoke when you were speaking, so I think she should be able to get herself unmuted. Trustee Buchanan, would you like to proceed with your board comments and announcements?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. I'd like to say hello to everyone. I was on the line all the time. And I know for 32 years, I worked for every school. We had some awesome teachers and we had some wonderful principals. And all we have to do is stay in our lane, support the superintendent, because I was on the board when we hired him. And when he came in, and some of the things he said, I can't remember them now. You know, when you get another birthday, you get old, you forget. But he was right on track. And right away, I told, Mr. Watson, I was sitting by him. That's what we need right there. If he had to come to Cincinnati, so-and-so, whatever. And I've got a lot of comments, Dr. Townsend, but everybody said, you know, I'm getting used to technology. So they said, oh, girl, your superintendent was on a video. I was like, what? I know. Well, how you know? You ain't even looked at it. I said, no, I sure did. But I got it, and it's wonderful. All we got to do is, like I said, stay in the lane. You have a secretary, we got a president, we got a treasurer, and we got trustees, and we have a superintendent. Stay in your lane, and let's continue to pray for this virus that's running rampant in here. Something gonna happen. This phone conversation and the internet, like Mr. Tripler, when he was talking, his phone messed up, or his computer. Then it came back in staticky. So I'm gonna take mine to the technology place to see why it keeps cutting off. Well, other than that, everybody have a good night and go straight home. And thank you let's continue to hold each other's hand. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Buchanan, for your comments tonight. We're gonna go next to Trustee Raquel Martin.
Yes, I like to say March is the reading month. And so just like Trustee Bowen, I also was called by Fairplain East to read to the children. So I am looking forward to doing that also. The other thing I wanted to say was previously, whenever we usually got grants for literacy, they were geared to K-3 programs. And I'm hoping that the grant that we received this time, that $3 million, will also stretch into our secondary division. I don't know the particulars of the grant, but I'm hoping that, it'll also address the needs that our children have in those grade levels also. So yes, I too would like to give congratulations once again to those that wrote the grant, and to those that are going to have to implement the grant. Grants are some time can be tedious, but well worth the effort. So to Dr. Townsend and his staff, uh, congratulations again. And, you know, we are here as a board and as a community person and as a citizen of Benton Harbor to help our district move forward. So you can count on my help if you need it in wherever it's needed to help move our district forward.
Thank you, Trustee Rocket Martin. Next, we're gonna have Treasurer Buchanan. I'm sorry, Treasurer Creighton.
No.
Ms. Buchanan, it's your turn.
You know, Treasurer Creighton says you're the real treasurer all the time. So go ahead, Treasurer Creighton.
Thank you. Thank you, Creighton.
You're welcome. I would just like to first start off saying, you know, we have a fight song, and I challenge everyone who's listening and everybody's out there, you know, to read the fight song, to learn the fight song, and to live the fight song. You know, our fight song starts off by saying Benton Harbor on to victory. And I believe that. I believe, you know, wholeheartedly that we're on to victory. You know, people have counted us out over the years, you know, right in our own backyards. You know, they've counted us out, but we are on to something. We are ready to win. We're open to win. You know, sometimes we're not ready for our blessings, but right now we're ready for those blessings. And I believe that. I'm excited to be a part of it. You know, we have accepted this call to service over self-interest. And so as we presume positive intentions and honor our board norms and honor our policy, and think about our principles of governance, oversight, and accountability, I'm just excited for the work that we have ahead of us. Parents, we hear you. You know, students, we know where you are and where we need to get you. Community, we're listening. And so I just invite you guys to keep you know, holding us accountable, to keep being our eyes and ears. You know, we have a great staff. Our staff is, you know, we're rebuilding our staff. And so, you know, we have to take and acknowledge that and you know, roll with it. You know, our staff did an amazing job writing a grant to the state. I know we've received CARES money. And so, you know, we're getting the funding that we need, and we're getting the people and the processes and procedures in place so that we can do what we need to do with the money and the resources that we have. You know, the Bible says, you know, if you're trusted, and this is in my own words, but you know, if he can trust us with a little, then he'll bless us with a lot. And so I just think it's important for us as we're getting these blessings to make sure, you know, that we are doing what we're supposed to do with it, to make sure that we're, you know, making sure that our kids can benefit from these things. And, you know, our parents are believing in us and they're trusting us. You know, we have a great group of parents. I'm excited to see what our student services and the rest of our faculty and staff has in store for, you know, bringing the parents and making them be a part of this process. And so I'm just really, really optimistic about this thing. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to, you know, having a child in this district. I'm going to claim it. And, you know, I want to be a part of this fight on to victory right there on Colfax Avenue as we bleed orange and black. So I just want to say be encouraged to just keep holding us accountable. And, you know, sometimes our silence gives consent. So we don't want you to be silent. We want to hear from you. It makes us better. And so I just encourage you guys to keep coming to our meetings, you know, send emails to the staff and to our superintendent and to his outreach committee so that, you know, and the board, we always welcome you also as a board to come to the board meetings. And so, you know, we need to hear from you. It will make us better and stronger. And so I'm just excited. I want to just thank all of our staff and our executive team and my other board colleagues just for everything that we're doing as we're fighting this fight to victory.
Thank you, Treasurer Creighton. Next, we have Secretary Triplett.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to see the superintendent.
Secretary Triplett, I'm sorry, you're really broken up.
Gladly, some of the things that I've seen.
Secretary Triplett, we can't
Can
hear
you hear? Can you hear me now?
I can. Go ahead.
Okay, I would like to say to our superintendent that I'm very happy that back safe and okay with the family, and we pray for him and his so to the team to write the grant. Just
I can't hear you.
Literacy.
Mr.
They're very proud.
Yeah, I can't hear you. You're breaking up.
Okay, well, with that, I'm just going to pass because
now I can hear you. Now I can understand.
Now we can. Okay, no, I'm good. I'm just going to go ahead and pass, but I'm here to do the work. I'm committed to work, and thank you.
Okay, Secretary Triplett, if you want to put your comment in the chat section, I'd be more than willing to read it for you. I apologize that we can't hear you, but if you want to put your comments in the chat, I'm willing to read them for you. I'll allow Vice President Bradley to go next, and then I can read your comments from the chat if you want to do that. Go ahead, Vice President Bradley.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the public, staff, and tonight's meeting, and taking the time out. Also, Treasurer Creighton, can you hear me? Okay, wanted to thank Treasurer Creighton for that walk back down memory lane when she referenced the fight song. My mind automatically went back to marching band days, and so now fight song is going to be stuck in my head for the rest of the evening. Also wanted to say congrats again on the grant. That's very awesome with that. Let me see what else. I want to encourage everyone. Also been checking out social media, and I'm seeing a lot of the good things that's going on in the district, and that is very, very awesome. Let me see what else I want to say. I also wanted to say that we had 2 former board members pass. We had the Reverend Alfred Johnson. He was a pastor at AME, Union Memorial AME. And then we also had Mr. Robert Bowman. I do remember Mr. Bowman when I was a student school board member. He was on the board and had the opportunity. He took both of the student board members to a school board training that they had years ago there in the Flint area. And so they will be remembered for the service and to the district. Other than that, everyone stay encouraged. Let's keep on moving forward. Remember that when the people see no vision, they stop caring. I'm gonna say it again: when the people see no vision, they stop caring. So let's continue to push the vision. Let's continue to get behind our staff, our superintendent and his staff, and keep on motivating our students to succeed. That's all I have to say. You all have a great evening.
Thank you so much, Vice President Bradley. Secretary Triplett, do you want to try again with your comments, or if you want to put them in the chat, I'm willing to read them for you. Okay, so I'll be very brief with my comments. I just want to congratulate the board on an efficient meeting this evening. I would like to thank the public for tuning in and joining us. I also want to congratulate Ben Harbor Area School District on that grant from MDE. That is extremely exciting, and I'm extremely proud of the work that is being done currently and the future work to be done. I believe at some point individuals wanted to count the Tigers out, but each of us that are alumni of the district are very much aware that the Tigers will fight until there is no more fight left in us. And you will see that we are very much alive and the roar has been restored. And we're extremely excited and dedicated to push the mission of our community forward. So we ask that the community continue to fight with, for, and alongside us as we continue to try to get our district back in amazing shape. We have some good things that have happened thus far, and we're committed to doing the work moving forward. So again, I thank the Board of Education. I thank Dr. Townsend and our executive team, all of the staff of Benton Harbor Area Schools, our stakeholders, and the community who have continued to stand by us and with us as we take this journey moving forward. And just for clarification, Mr. Triplett indicated that he's okay with comments, so he's not going to make an effort to say anything further at this time, but just wanted to thank everybody and again, thank the board for an efficient meeting. That is all I have. Congratulations to our students that are phenomenal winners. Welcome back to the district, the student that we allowed to return today. I'm extremely excited for your future moving forward. And we just hope everyone is staying safe and in good spirits and continue to just be there for us and with us. So with that being said, is there, we're gonna move to adjournment. Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn our meeting this evening?
I'm making a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Okay, so it has been moved by Vice President Bradley. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, so the motion has been made by Vice President Bradley and supported by Trustee Rockette Martin that we adjourn the meeting. I don't think there would be any questions, comments, or concerns.
I just got one comment. No, believe it or not, just want to tell you our Tigers are beating Bering Springs. Right now, it looks like it's 50-18. So,
well, awesome.
Phenomenal.
Going down there right now. Support our Tigers.
That's evidence of what I said. Like, don't count us out because we have plenty of fight left. So, any other comments before we adjourn and allow Secretary Triplett to call the roll? All right, the mic is yours, Secretary Triplett. Can you please call the roll to send us home?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can.
Yeah. Oh, it's so amazing that you can hear me. So absolutely amazing as we get ready to close out. You can hear me. God bless you, President Robinson.
Yes.
Vice President Bradley.
Yes.
Secretary Triplett. Yes. Treasurer Creighton.
Yes.
Trustee Bowens.
I can't hear you. No, yes.
Trustee Buchanan. Trustee Buchanan. Trustee Rockette Martin.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, so this meeting is officially adjourned at 8:02 p.m. You all have an amazing evening. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Have a good night.
Ms. Robinson.